Yeah, inside. I'm just going to come to an absolute dead standstill right in the middle of the course as well.
I'll take the wheel and then...
And then stop.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Fresh Crits of Melbourne. We're back with St Kilda Cycling Club. It's fantastic to have them racing crits once again on a lovely hot dog circuit. Hot diggity dog, as we said last year, it's back. And today, let's talk a little bit about the conditions. First things first, it was hot. 30 degrees, I reckon it was when we were out there. Not only that, it was super windy. We had this really intense north wind, which meant that on this part of the course where we're traveling now was a really fast tailwind, but as soon as you came onto the finishing straight, you were faced with a brutal headwind. So it was really important how you spent your bickies throughout this race to make sure that you weren't caught on the front unnecessarily. As for the field, it was a pretty small bunch for this one. The usual hitters were there with Pat O'Keefe. We've got my mate Dino on the left-hand side here. Aidan Buttigieg, who's the Malta representation here in Melbourne. Obviously, Alex Edney from COS Racing, really strong finisher. And a couple of others. But small field, but when that temperature is so high, it really saps the energy. And we'll discuss this a little bit more in detail. But essentially, as the hotter it gets, your heart rate's going to go higher, but your power is going to drop. So it's really important that you monitor your effort throughout the race and making sure you're eating and drinking as much as you possibly can. And on that topic, have you guys heard of Soul Nutrition? You got to get involved. It's Huddo's nutrition brand. It's incredible. Guaranteed to add 20 watts to your FTP. Don't hold me to that. And lastly, guys, you know what the drill is here. Like and subscribe. It really helps the channel along its way. You guys are the reason I do this. And let's show the Euros and the States what Melbourne cycling has to offer. And maybe one day we'll get Fresh Crits versus NorCal in a massive chop-off down in Melbourne. See how he goes. But enough of that. Let's get stuck into some racing. Grab yourself a Cliff Bar and strap yourself in. Okay, so we're just about to tick over into 8 minutes in this race with 34 kilometers left. And it's at this moment where Alex Edney from COS Racing puts a very soft attack, seated acceleration, and just rolls off the front. And there's just a lot of looking around of who's going to chase this one back. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So I'm like, okay, well, I've got Dino in the peloton, so I want him to stay as protected as I possibly can, because out of the two of us, he is much stronger than me. Although I can beat him in a sprint. So I jump in this break and ride with Alex, and, you know, it's one of those things, you know, there's still so much time left in this race. You don't want to go all out in this effort because you think you're going to win, because the chances are very slim. So we've got a nice little gap here. You don't want to make the look behinds too obvious, especially when you're coming into a hot dog where every time you hit either corner at either end of the course, you get a real good look at the riders' faces in front of you as you come back the other way. So you want to keep an eye on how everyone's looking in that bunch. You want to be able to see how your breakaway partner is also looking, because essentially, although you're racing against each other, you need to work together. You need to be a good team in order to roll strong turns with each other, engage how everyone is feeling to drag this out as long as possible. So with this little break established, let's go and have a check out to see what Dino's up to in the main peloton that's currently sitting around 5 to 10 seconds behind me and Alex here. Okay, so we'll check in with Dino 10 minutes in. He's just been sitting in. It's been so boring watching it. But that's how it should be. When your teammate's in the break, you want to do absolutely nothing and just hide in the wheels and stay protected. Just keep your legs nice and fresh. You can see us just in the distance there. But, you know, as always, you're in these breaks, little attacks go to try to spark a bit of a response from the peloton. You can see there Pat pulling out, opening up this gap, saying, hey, well, you chase it, mate. Dana's like, well, I'm not going to chase it. There's no need for me to chase it. And that's when Aidan is going to fly up the inside. There he is, the shadow. Absolute big effort to bridge across. And Dana's like, well, I'm going to follow that. He is probably my direct competition. He's a very strong rider. So Dino lets the wheel go and then whacks it straight across in this downwind section. The reason why he just doesn't accelerate onto Aidan's wheel like that, by doing an explosive effort like that and really stretching the group out, it's going to numb the legs of some of those sprinters who would instead just be an easy carry down to the wheel in front. Really makes them work for it. Meanwhile, back with Alex and myself here, we're not pushing huge numbers because it is so hot. Your heart rate naturally is going to be quite elevated, so you're not going to be able to do the same amount of watts as you would do in a colder sort of environment. So we're just keeping things nice and easy, not pushing too hard, because we need to make sure, with still 27 kilometers left in this race, we're going to make sure we're going to have a few bickies left for the end of the race. And after a good solid 20 minutes of me and Alex chopping off in the breakaway, you can see in the rear cam here, we are finally caught. Now, please excuse me, the rear cam is full of sealant. Had a bit of an issue prior to the race. But yeah, we're caught after 20 minutes. But what I want to talk a little bit about now is my effort in the breakaway compared to Dino's effort, who is sitting in the peloton. So let's bring that up right now. There's nothing too alarming about this data, but where I wanted to just kind of raise awareness, I suppose, is the difference in variability. You can see I've put little arrows there where Dino's had a big spike in his watts compared to mine. What I'm looking at there is your variability index, and essentially what that is the difference between your normalized power and your average power. So naturally, when you're in a break, rolling really smooth turns like me and Alex were for this race, our variability index is going to be quite low, which means our normalized and our average are going to be almost the same number. While if you look at Dino, there's a 36 watt difference between his normalized and average, meaning he's sprinting out of corners and burning those little matches to stay with the peloton. So that's the sort of thing you need to really identify as a rider, and you should by now, is what sort of rider are you? Are you the sort of rider that doesn't mind a sprint out of a corner, a little sprint up a hill, or do you like to be riding a nice steady higher tempo where you're going to be putting out more watts but essentially being nice and smooth? If that's you, then you're better off jumping in the brake. But enough of that, we've been caught now. It's time to get on some nutrition, try to get some fluids into the body, and wait for the next little move that's going to spark this race up. Still plenty of time with 20 Ks left. 10 minutes later, Dino gets flicked through to roll to the front of the group. Nothing has happened. The whole group is together. Yes, a few of the boys have been dropped. So Dino's rolled to the front very easily. He's going to come around the top of this course to come into the tailwind part, but he's got a little bit of a trick up his sleeve. His legs are feeling okay, so as he comes around this corner, he absolutely jams it. The group is on his wheel. This is when he's going to launch his attack. So he goes deep, 1,100 watts out of this corner with the hope to drop the wheel. And you can see as we flick back to my cam, you'll get a glimpse of him just there coming out of the saddle. No one's really too willing to chase. He's going all in on this attack. And obviously I'm just following the wheel. I don't want to chase this break down. So when Alex flicks me through, I'm just going to sit on his wheel. I'm chasing wheels here. There's no interest in me in chasing this one. And obviously, Alex doesn't have a teammate. Aiden doesn't have a teammate. These guys are getting fairly frustrated, and rightly so. It is a club crit. What are you doing racing in teams? But because we are a team, why wouldn't you? Is my argue to that question. So Aiden gets on the front, and this is good because he's probably the strongest rider in this race, arguably. So I want to numb his legs as much as possible. So whilst Dino off the front, I can just sit in. What am I doing? 140, well, 300 watts here, 140 watts. Just want to get the heart rate down. Aiden wants the guys to roll through. It's not going to happen. This is good for me. I'm in a happy position. Dino can burn some matches, and I just sit in and relax. Unfortunately for Dino, 4 minutes later, he's been brought back, but it has been able to numb a few of the riders' legs, which is good. I've been able to sit. I would like to say the heart rate's down, but it's definitely not. It is so hot out there, it's almost impossible. But it's good to know that everyone else is going to be in a similar sort of situation. So with 10 Ks left in this race, it is still anybody's up for grabs. But little did we know, there is a secret rider in this peloton, as I almost bin that corner, who's kept his nose completely out of the wind this entire race. He hasn't hit the front. He hasn't been in any breaks. He's just been following the wheels this entire race, keeping his legs nice and fresh. He's in map kit. Let's see if we can pick him out soon. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, who's just got off the front in the green map kit with massive quads. May I introduce to you Gary Milburn, a certified hitter with his own pro cycling stats page. This guy is all about CX racing, gravel racing, everything about it. And that's why I probably have never seen him on the road. Little did we know, this guy's got a mean old kick in him. So let's just see how that all plays out with 8.7 Ks left in this race. We'll skip forward to the final lap and see how this one plays out. Stay tuned. All right, here we go. So we're coming around the bottom corner here. It's the bell lap. So this is the last straight before the finish. On the way down, Dino's come up beside me. He's like, mate, how the legs feeling? I'm like, I've been in a break for 20 minutes, mate, but I feel incredible. Get on the front, lead this out, and I'll put the rest to bed. So that's exactly what he's done here. There's one guy that's a little bit up the road. So Dino's just being mindful of that. And he's going to have to punch it straight into a headwind here. It is absolutely brutal. And it's all about trying to figure out now how much effort does he put in so that he can keep the pace high whilst also being able to last that length of time. So we'll flick back to Dino's cam now and we'll check out his power. So he's got a nice little sit here off this rider. Now, we weren't too sure what was going on here because this guy missed a couple of laps. I'm not too sure what happened. So we weren't too sure if he's in the race or not. But now Dino gets on the front and throws on the afterburners. 500, 600 watts at 190 beats. The guy is absolutely smoking, and he knows he's got about 400 meters left of this race to go, so he's got to really measure his effort. But the guy's an absolute beast. 600 watts, but only pushing 43 kilometers an hour. That's how strong the headwind is. As we come back to my cam, I'm sitting pretty. I've got a really nice sit here from Archie Davis from Crane Tech, and I'm sitting pretty. 400 watts, yeah, I'm putting an effort in, but that's not too bad. I'm dropping down to 200 watts, but I'm also concerned. 200 meters left, maybe a little bit more actually. The pace is going to start dropping off soon. Dino can't keep putting these big efforts in. Where's that big attack? Aiden goes up the inside. There goes Pat. There goes Gary. I need to get on the wheel here. Dino swings wide, forces Alex in the rear cam wide, the long way around him, and I'm sitting on Gary's wheel here. I'm 4th position now. Things are looking okay for me. This is where I come out of the wind. I absolutely try to get as aero as I possibly can, get to the finish line, throw for it, take out 2nd. Gary's 1st, Pat is 3rd. It's an all-masters podium. Doing it for the old boys, the plus 30s. What an absolute incredible race. Couldn't have done it if it wasn't for Dino's mammoth effort on the front to keep the pace nice and high. But doesn't matter, he'll get his chance soon, young blood. That is an absolute wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Please comment below if you see yourself. Share the Fresh Grits word. Tell your friends. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Ciao.
I think